XHTML has several facilities for handling lists of things. So open your examples folder and open the folder within that called lists. We'll start with unordered lists. So load up unordered lists into your text editor. And I'm also going to load it into my web browsers. And I'm going to use both Mozilla and Internet Explorer so that you can see the little inconsistencies between the way that they work. So this is Mozilla with the unordered list, and this is Internet Explorer. The first thing that you'll notice is that the bullets in Mozilla are little diamonds, and they're round in Internet Explorer. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. The code for the unordered lists looks like this. You have the UL container, which sets up the unordered list, and the LI items, which are the individual items within the list. And those are also containers in XHTML. They must be terminated. And that creates what we saw here in Mozilla and here in Internet Explorer. The UL tag and the LI tags have options for setting 3 different types of bullets. We can just say type in the UL tag, which will set up the type of bullets for all the list items. And disk is the default. So that's the one that we saw that looks like that, and which looks like little diamonds in Mozilla. Circle is the open disk. It's like an open circle. And again, in Mozilla, you'll notice that it's the diamond shape. And square is the other type that's available. And that looks like a square, really, in both of them. The different types of bullets that you can have for the list items, and setting them in UL in the outer container sets the bullet type for the whole list. Setting the bullet type in just one of the LI elements will set it for just that item. So there you have the disk for the whole list and the square for just the one item. You can also nest lists. And if I just take this whole list and copy it and stick it in between a couple of these, indent for appearance, we now have a nested list, and you'll notice that the sublist uses these circles instead of the disks. It does the same thing in Mozilla. Of course, there are also diamonds. And if we just nest it one more time, you'll see that it uses the square for the inner list. Nesting it again does not cycle back to the circle as I personally think it should, or rather the disk. It simply continues using the square. But of course, if you want it to be the disk on the inner one, you can set it on that UL element. And that fixes that, for those of us who want it that way. And just like with the standalone list, you can, if you want to, make one item different. That's 2 on the inner list. And that's the unordered list, and that's what it does. Going back to your lists folder, open the ordered list file with your text editor. And I'm also going to open it in the same browsers. Notice that the ordered list has numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're numbered just like that. Of course, it doesn't matter if I have these be dog and cat and fish and squirrel. That's 2 L's, right? 2 R's, right? It does in my example anyway. But those are still numbered with the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the ordered list, and so the outer container says OL, where it said UL in the unordered list. But each of the inner items are still LI. The type attribute for the ordered list, of course, doesn't use the disk, square, or circle. Instead, it's where you tell it what kind of numbering you want. The numbering that we see here is the normal Western numbers, which are the 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can also use Roman numerals. If you say I there, it'll number them in Roman numerals. If you use a lowercase I, it'll number them in lowercase Roman numerals. Or if you use a capital letter, capital A, it'll number them with capital letters, or a lowercase a, and it'll number them with lowercase letters. You can also set where your list starts numbering. You can say start equals 10, and the list will start numbering at 10. If you say start equals 10 and type equals, say, I, it'll still start at 10, but use the Roman numerals. You cannot specify the start in Roman numerals. That does not work. The start has to be in decimal numbers. It can be 25, and that will start properly in the Roman numerals. You'll notice this effect, which some people consider a bug, but may not be because you can fix it with style sheets by setting a margin, that when the Roman numerals are too long to display in the margin, they simply extend off to the left of the visible window. And, of course, resizing your window doesn't help at all. It seems to do that in all browsers consistently. So it's really a defined behavior. It's what we might call a misfeature instead of a bug. I would like it to behave differently, and there doesn't seem to be any way to get it to do that. So you can set your start, you can set your type. So that's ordered lists. Ordered lists, of course, can also be nested, like unordered lists can. And you'll notice that we've started the numbering again in the middle. If we don't start the numbering at 25 in the first one, and we don't start it at 25 in this one, but perhaps we can use capital Roman numerals here, then we have a very standard outline format. Well, maybe the capital on the outer list and the lowercase on the inner list would be more normal. But this is common in business and engineering papers where you have nested, ordered lists to have different types of numbering within the nesting. And of course, you can continue doing that and nest them as many times as you want to and use different styles however you want to. If you don't specify types, they all come out decimal. Just go ahead and remove the type from all of these. And they all come out decimal and they all start at 1. And so, of course, you can change where they start or change the style of the lists as you move along. So that's ordered lists. The third and final type of lists that are available in XHTML is the definition list. Go ahead and open definitionlist.html in your text editor. And I am also going to open it in my two browsers. Notice that this is a very different type of a list, and you may or may not find it actually useful. I use them occasionally. The DL outer container sets up the definition list, and then there's two types of line items. There's the definition term and the actual definition. Term and definition, DT for term and DD for definition. So when you look at the list in the browser, you have 1, which is the first non-zero number. 2 is the number after 1. 3 to get ready. And 4, now go cat, go. You may not remember that song, but I do. So the definition lists do not have any options for changing the way that they behave. They just behave like that. You can, of course, change the way that they're displayed with style sheets. You can also nest other types of lists within them. So there we have an unordered list within the definition list. And that works like that. So it is possible to nest and combine and mix the different types of lists. In order to make them look reasonable, you may have to use style sheets to get them to work the way that you want them to work. So those are the list types that XHTML provides. And they can be very, very useful. And of course, you can make them look how you want with style sheets.